Good morning. Reading is a fantastic way to help you enjoy life. It can be entertaining, it can be educational. We can explore the world through books. I have my book mug this morning, books that I really enjoyed when I was a kid. I'm going to share a couple books today. Maybe you'll want to put them on your reading list, or maybe it'll just inspire you to read something different. It doesn't matter what you read, as long as you're reading and enjoying it and learning about things that you want to learn about. So the first book I'm going to read or show this morning, I have read it, Flashlight Fighting. This is a simple little book. It was published by Paladin Press. You can now get it because Paladin Press went out of business. They closed when Peter Lund passed away, the founder. But Phil has republished this, and so it's still available out there. It's just not the Paladin Press edition like this one is. I like this book because it's real simple, and it shows how you can use a flashlight as a defensive tool. And you can take flashlights anywhere. I always recommend having a flashlight, not just because you can defend yourself with them, but lights go out, things happen. Having a light is so handy. So I always travel with a small flashlight. And it can be used as a tool to defend yourself if you need to. And Phil shows some ways here. And I also like this book because Phil is a friend. Phil has some haters out there on the internet, and it doesn't matter to me because I like Phil. He's a good friend. We've always been good to each other and supporting each other. And some of the people that hate on him, I don't have much use for them either. So Phil's a good guy. Good little book on just how to use a flashlight as a defensive type tool. And something else about Phil that some people don't know, I've always enjoyed the Executioner series. My older stepbrother back in the 70s was reading them, and I got started reading on the Mac Bolan and the Destroyer Remo Williams books way back in the 70s and 80s. I actually like Remo Williams and the Destroyer books a little bit more, but I enjoy these as quick little reads, just some mindless entertainment. Phil wrote a bunch of these. In fact, Phil wrote this one. And, he doesn't get a lot of credit on the title. They're always Don Pendleton, because Don wrote all the original ones early. But when you open these books here on the inside page, on the page where it tells the copyright information stuff, there'll always be a special thanks and acknowledgments to, and it'll tell you who actually wrote that book. And this one, it's to Phil Elmore for his contributions to the work. His contributions as he wrote it. Okay. And they're formula pieces that, a whole stable of authors were writing these and pumping them out really quick. And they're just fun, enjoyable, quick reads if you like action stuff. And so Phil actually wrote this too. So those are two books by Phil that I'm sharing this morning. Going to take a couple comments before I get to the next book. Dixon says, for most, that equals mag light fighting. And I'll tell you, I got one of the big mag lights too. And yeah, you carry it where you can do that, but you can smack somebody with it if you had to as well. But the smaller flashlights can be used as tools to defend yourself too. And so it's good to have a variety of tools for different situations and know how to use them for what they're intended for, light. But mag lights also were built so you could defend yourself with them, as are some of the smaller lights. And so knowing how to do that is sort of prudent in today's world. You hope you don't have to, but you have the tools and the knowledge in case you do. Mark says, my flashlights have rechargeable batteries. My favorite is a pen size, very versatile. Yeah, a flashlight doesn't do you much good if you don't have power. So you definitely want to make sure you have good batteries, rechargeable batteries, or if it's a flashlight that can plug in to charge it up, you've kept it charged. Nothing worse than going for your light, wanting light, and you don't have it. And yeah, the pen size are very handy for different things because they're so convenient to carry. And just different sizes for different purposes. And then, like I said, you can defend yourself with some of them as well. Mark says 4D cell is the force. It has a light side bulb in and a dark side cap. Don't mess around with that dark side. Yeah, getting smacked in the head by the dark side of a mag light, the 4D cell batteries in there, not good. So hopefully you don't have to do anything that you need to get hit with one, right? We shouldn't be doing bad things where people want us hit with one. Phil says phone has a flashlight. Yep, most phones do have the light now. And again, we want to keep them charged. I don't like my phone as a primary flashlight, though. I actually like to have a separate primary flashlight built for it, easier to hold. I can manipulate and do things with that I can't do with my phone. But in a pinch, a phone definitely gives you some backup light. Make sure it's charged as well and you have power to use it. Thanks, Phil. Appreciate that. So that's flashlight fighting and one of Phil's executioner books. So the crisis diplomacy. And Phil wrote a number of these. I don't know how many, but quite a few. So those are good books for self-defense and entertainment. Next book is for your communication skills, which is so important. And this one is geared, the verbal judo is geared a little bit more toward conflict communication and law enforcement dealing with, potential people that could be a subject and so forth. And so I really enjoyed this book, especially when I was working security and dealing with people like that. And this has influenced my communication courses. I incorporate some of the verbal judo techniques and strategies into what I use and teach. And there are a number of verbal judo books. This is the first main book. And then there were several others. And then you can become a certified verbal judo instructor because there were the actual verbal judo courses. I took a 16-hour verbal judo course way back when and got the certificate of being, certified in verbal judo. I never got certified as a verbal judo instructor because I prefer to teach my own courses, which incorporate a little verbal judo, but they also incorporate things from other trainings, other experiences, and things that I've had as a mediator and working security and working bouncing jobs and general life. So this is a really good book, though, if you want to learn how to deal with some people in a conflict situation and get voluntary compliance. That's always what we're looking for when we're security, law enforcement. We want voluntary compliance from a person rather than having to go hands-on and force that person. So good book to add to your communication conflict library and some good things to practice if you're in those type of situations. Sadly, George Thompson died a number of years ago. He's not around teaching the verbal judo courses anymore, but there are a lot of certified verbal judo people teaching the courses, and I would recommend those too. I had a really good instructor. He's a friend of mine still, and learning from him and practicing the exercises in the live classes and so forth, valuable experience. So really good one to have as well. Gonna say hello to a couple more people. Jay showed up and said good morning. Good morning, Jay. Appreciate you being here. Mark said hello to you as well. Dixon says conflict resolution, so important when dealing with unruly folks. I think it's one of the most important. I think our awareness and avoidance skills and our conflict communication skills dealing with people can solve so many potential situations that go violent. If people had better awareness skills, better communication skills, things would not go to violence and physical as much as they do. So those skills are so important. And like I tell people, and especially when I'm promoting my communication class, we communicate with people every day. You can't go through life without communicating with others. So why don't we study and become better communicators? It will only make our lives that much better because we are always communicating something, but we're not always communicating effectively to achieve the desired results that we want. And this is just one of many. I have an entire 6-foot bookshelf full of communication, negotiation, de-escalation, conflict-related books that I am constantly studying to make myself a better instructor and to better deal with people when I'm out and about. And so that's what I try to do, and this is one I wanted to highlight today. The last book is just for purely entertainment. People know that I've been reading the Vince Flynn Mitch Rapp series lately. The most recent one that I finished, Executive Power. Good, fun read. It talks about his cover's been blown, and so people know who he is. So he sort of switched jobs with the CIA, and he, has a relationship, and because of the relationship, she doesn't want him doing the dangerous stuff he was doing. So he's going to take more of a desk supervisory role, dealing with some of these special operation missions. But if you've read any of these and Mitch Rapp, it's tough for him not to get his hands dirty and get involved. Doesn't make his wife and girlfriend really happy, but they are fun reads if you like the action genre. And so I've been enjoying these. Finished this one. Then I wasn't reading an enjoyment book when I was on my vacation, but when I got back from vacation on Memorial Day, I actually started Memorial Day, which is the next book in this series, which I'll talk about, in the future and promote that. But, this one was the one where, a little bit about it. A Navy SEAL team goes in to rescue this family that was being held kidnapped, and they were compromised and a couple got killed. And so that really ticks Mitch Rapp and a few others off, because the reason they were compromised was a leak in Washington, D.C. And so that's the premise of this book. And so you got to plug that leak and find out, what's going on. They got a couple of our, heroic operators killed, but you also got to rescue that family still, because they're not rescued yet. So that's the premise of this book, and it was a fun read. So those are today's books. Hope you found something valuable. If you don't want to read these, that's okay. Maybe they inspired you to read something else. But we had Phil's flashlight fighting and his executioner books that he was part of. We had an excellent communication book, The Verbal Judo, and we had some fun reading with Vince Flynn, Executive Power, one of the Mitch Rapp series novels. Hope you got some value from that. Might put it on your reading list. They're all really good books. Or go out and find something that you enjoy. Just incorporate some reading into your life, because it will only make it better. Take care, everybody. I will see you tomorrow with a very special episode. I'm going to be talking a little deep dive into Walt Disney, and not just telling you about Walt Disney, but some philosophy of Walt Disney that you can incorporate into your life to make your life as grand as his, and create something as grand that he created and as fantastic as he created, because on the 100th anniversary of its creation, it's driving bigger and better than even he probably believed or dreamed. So that's coming up tomorrow. Everybody take care, stay safe, have a fantastic Saturday.